So the next step for Molly is the thin areas. These are going to be shaded using a purple and a blue. You're always careful using blue because it clings really well to vinyl, and sometimes you think it doesn't show up very much and you can't cover it up, but sometimes when you add your different layers it actually starts to show up more than it originally did, so you have to be really careful with blue. Now the areas that I'm talking about are when you think of the sort of the thin areas of the baby's skin. So when you, and even on us as well, when you think about the backs of the wrists, you can really see through to your veins. On a baby they have quite a few thin areas, so the bridge of the nose, the eyelids, parts of the lip, quite a little bit in the ear, behind the ears, on the forehead, and on the hands, front and back of the hands, the wrists, the elbows, or the insides of the elbows, the insides of the knees, this part of the foot, ankles and sort of here as well, and the front of the foot. So those are the areas I'll be using the blue and the purple for. So I'm happy with the shading so far. If I feel that she needs a little bit more further down the line, there's no reason why I won't be able to add that should she need it. While I'm using the blue, I'm going to add a few veins. So I'm going to start with a vein on the side of her head, just to show you how it's done. So I start with a very thin part of the paint first, the watery part, and I'm just going to map out where I want my first vein to go. So I'm going to work on the one at the side of her head. I'm just going to take it up and I'm just going to do a few as veins go, really, a bit like a tree branch, and they sort of break off from each other, don't they? So I've put my markings on and it's quite watery. I'm going to blend at the edges to make it look as though it's sort of disappearing under the skin and then reappearing again. So I don't know how well the camera's actually picking that up. Probably not really well at all, but anyway. Then I'm going to tilt the ramekin, and where the paint has been, it is slightly thicker, so I'm going to use that part of the paint that's sort of a little bit thicker than what I've already used. I'm just going to get rid of some excess paint. There we are. And then I can see where I've previously been, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the middle part of the vein and I'm going to put the main part of the colour there, and then I'm just going to drag outwards to the edges, like so, and just do maybe a few little squiggly ones there as well. Now bearing in mind this is quite a thin part of the baby's skin, so you would really see it quite obviously, and also she's going to have hair, so you might want it to show through the hair a little bit as well. If you have a look, I don't know if you can see it very well on there. And then I don't want it to be too blue. I want it to look as though it is underneath, and then as you sort of dab over it with the sponge, it sort of makes it disappear a little bit. And then you can repeat that again, just to exaggerate those darker areas of the vein again, and go back from the middle and drag it out. And you can keep repeating that really until you're happy with how much they show up. And then again, just sort of smudging out the ends so it looks like it disappears under the skin, and then a little bit over the top again. And that's basically how I do my veins on my babies. I'm going to do another one just to show you again on the front of the face. So this time I'm going to take one up here, I think. So it's going to look as though it's coming from near the eye socket, and it's just going to go up. It's going to trail up, and then it's going to split into two. And then again, just over the edges. And then tip the ramekin. Collect the paint up where it's thickened slightly. Dabble off the excess, and then find the vein again, and then drag the colour up from the middle to the edges, like so. Make it look as natural as I can. And then dabble, dabble, dabble. Just be a little bit more careful this time with the dabbing the sponge, because I don't want to smudge it outwards, and then she'll just end up with like a blue mess. So we still want it to look very much like the vein. Maybe have a bit breaking off, and then smudge out the edges, and then just carefully dab down the middle. I'll try and show you on the camera. I don't know how well it'll show up though. So there we are. So I don't know if you can see a little bumpy vein at the front. There we go. And then I'm going to do veins, as I say, on all the limbs. So the veining's almost complete, apart from I haven't done the back of the, well, I haven't done any of that arm actually, because I wanted to show you the difference. I don't know if you can see that one at all. I don't know how well that's going to come up, but that's basically the veining on the back of that one, that arm, and that's without the veining. So I just wanted to show you the difference really. And I'm going to add the veins to this one, and then I'm done. Just so that you can see as well, I did do a few more veins on the side, the other side of her head there. There we go. There you can see she's had that done, and then they're on the feet also. So a little bit more veining to do on one of the arms, and then that's it, and then she can go in the oven, and then we can move on to modelling and more skin tones. So again, it's a case of doing a quick watery vein to start with, just so that you can make a few marks, see where you want it to go, and then if you make any mistakes you can sort of rub it away. So rub the end into it, disappear slightly, and then just go over it again. Ooh. Try not to rush. Well, that's plenty of blue. So I'll just give it a bit of a dibble dabble. I'll just go over that little bit again. Just a tad. And like I said with the shading as well, if you feel that after a few more layers of paint that they've disappeared slightly, you can always go back and you can always go over some of your veining again and some of your shading again. So you build it all up as you go along. Or it could be that you're happy with it as it is, so you don't have to add any at all. It's whatever you feel really. That's the veining near the wrist done. I don't know how well that's come up again, but there is a little bit there. And then I'm going to do a small vein on the front of the hand, same way. Try and make it skinny. I don't want it really obvious this time. It's just nice and light. And then dibble dabble, tap tap tap, a little bit more from the middle of the vein going to the edges, And smudge the edges out, dibble dabble, and I think I'm happy with that one almost. I want it to go into the fingers particularly. There we are. I don't know how well that's come up. A little bit there, and then I'm going to put one here and a faded one there. Won't take long. So that's I'm going to take it from the side. I'm going to do quite a thickish vein on that bit. And then up and branch it out a little bit like a tree. Not too much, be a bit more there. And a little bit more there. That's it. And like I said, the blue can sort of show up further down the line as well. I think I'm just going to add a little bit more to this vein on the hand. Make it a bit longer. There we are. So there we go. So that's the vein. I don't know if you can see that well. And on the wrist. And a little bit on the arm. A bit more faded, that one. So that's all the veining done for now. Not my most favourite part of Reborn, I must admit. But adds to the realism. And like I said, the next part will be mottling and possibly some more skin tones.